Fantastic. So today we are interviewing Candace Suarez. And the first time I heard her speak, I will tell you, it was a video call. And we were supposed to meet in person, but it snowed. It snowed?
It was snowing, yeah, that
Yes.
week.
Oh, my goodness. I am never mesmerized on a video call. But she had me at the first sentence and I did not lose interest until the last. So let me introduce her so we can get right into it. Candace is a life coach. Here we go. Her devoted education and career to helping professionals as a school counselor, behavioral specialist, and director of school and community behavioral health programs. This beautifully set into her current work as a life coach and owner of Optimum Growth.
Optimum Growth, yeah.
Okay, where she is partners with both teens and adults. She utilizes what she calls a life drafting approach, believing that life is a series of drafts, each one building upon the other, and it's learning, growing, and refining your path as you gain new experiences and insight. She was diagnosed with stage 4. You're going to have to help me with this one. Squamous
cell carcinoma.
squamous cell carcinoma
Cancer.
on her tongue's right side in December of 2021. Candace initially underwent surgery to remove over half of her tongue and reconstruct a new tongue from her former arm skin. She had a full neck dissection, which removed more than 40 lymph nodes. Thankfully, it was cancer-free. So she left the hospital after 8 weeks with a feeding tube.
8 days.
8 days?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. See?
I wasn't in that long.
Okay. And other wounds from surgery, which required care. So her recovery was slow, but not 8 weeks.
Not that long.
She currently lives in Richmond, Virginia area with her husband, her teenage son, and their 2 crazy dogs.
Yeah.
Well, first I have to ask, what kind of dogs?
So they're both mixes. They're both rescue mutts. One of them, the older one is 5, and he is a husky mix.
Oh, yes.
He mixed with like a beagle, so he has a husky body and a beagle face.
Oh.
And the second one is a hound mix.
Hound mix.
They're both very stubborn and very crazy. Yeah, a lot of energy.
They say that dogs take after their owners. So there's that.
Yeah, there's that.
Okay, take us back
Yeah.
to 2020 before everything started happening. That was a big pandemic time. So you were probably going through some things already, changes. You were a school counselor?
Yeah, so I'll take you back even further.
Come on back.
In 2019, I moved to Virginia from Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
So I was brand new to the state in 2019. Prior to moving here, I was working in children's behavioral health and children's trauma, basically. And it's a high burnout career. So when I moved here, I wanted something totally different. So for a hot minute, I was a realtor. But imagine, I got my real estate license in January of 2020. And then
March.
Everything shut down. So I was here in this brand new city. I knew 0 people. And I had been to maybe 2 in-person networking events, and then everything went virtual. So I limped along for a little while, attempting to make connections for real estate, and it just wasn't happening.
Yeah.
So I had met someone and started to do, I met someone who was doing college admissions coaching, and I loved his philosophy of it and what he was doing, so I joined in him with what he was doing.
Okay.
So yeah, that was 2020, fall of 2020. And then early 2021, I wanted to expand that some more and open my own business as a life coach.
Oh, okay.
So I was working with teens with my previous partner, Tom Leahy, as well as trying to start my new coaching business.
Mm-hmm.
And then by fall of that year is when I was starting to have my cancer pain. So, yeah.
So there was no like preemptive, like, oh, something might be wrong.
Yeah, there was. It was essentially an ulcer that wouldn't go away.
Mm-hmm.
It was right on the back of my tongue. It wouldn't go away. I kept, doing things you do for ulcers, like
Right.
gargling with salt water, and
That's the first thing.
that's the first thing I did. It wouldn't go away. I went to my family doctor, and backing up, I had a previous history of white patches on my tongue that would be biopsied, wouldn't be cancerous. They'd send me on my way every few years. My dentist would monitor, and they would send me for a biopsy, always fine. So my doctor was like, oh, I'm sure it's fine because of this. So she gave me a topical steroid cream, and that didn't do anything. Burned to put it on, it was awful. So, yeah, by December it was so painful. I was hardly eating anything. I was barely speaking. So I finally relented, went to the dentist who like literally took me by my hand, walked me next door to schedule a biopsy with an oral surgeon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Okay.
so Christmas time was when we got the cancer diagnosis. Yeah.
So what was that like at Christmas for you and your family?
I wasn't speaking. I was on a lot of pain medication, so I was in a fog,
Okay.
if I'm being honest.
Okay.
I was in a fog probably December. My surgery was in March finally. That whole time I was in a fog.
Okay.
I remember I have a business coach, and we do an annual, like a virtual retreat where we do our goal setting for the next year. And that was New Year's. And I went to half of the first day, and I said to her, I'm like, I can't do this. I don't know what 2022 is going to bring. I couldn't do it. So I stopped that and just, ran in the New Year with my friends, but it was just, I was exhausted. I took naps every day. And I was on round-the-clock pain medication.
Okay. So life was a fog.
It was a fog. Yeah.
Okay. Was there any, why me?
No.
Good.
It wasn't. It was more of a disbelief. And when someone is ill and people wrap around them and bring them meal trains and stuff. So we had some people, God bless them, to help my family and brought us meals. And I'm like, I am one of those families. Like that was like almost like unreal. It was weird. Yeah. That was more. It was like settling into the fact that we are one of those families now. So.
Yeah, and was there any grieving process?
That came later.
Okay.
Yeah. I was in so much pain. I just wanted my surgery so that my pain would end. I remember my husband being with me for all of my appointments because I couldn't talk. So he had to speak for me.
Okay.
And
he advocated.
Yeah. I remember him, we were sitting there both listening to the same explanation of what the surgery was going to entail and what the recovery would be. And I was like, oh, okay, all right, yeah, sounds good. But he was like in shock about it. And
He didn't express that to you?
Oh, yeah, he did.
Okay.
He did. We talked about it, but I was just ready to get it over with.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you go through surgery.
Yeah.
You're out of the fog, or it lasted a little bit longer?
in the hospital. I was in intensive care for a full week. I had a tracheostomy, so I had a trach. A feeding tube went in before surgery because I was losing too much weight. I was dehydrated. I remember being told I was such a good patient. And being happy with myself that I was a good patient.
You did your mother proud, huh?
I was pleasant. I would be like,
That's good.
yeah. But my husband came every day and brought donuts for all the nursing staff. I mean, he was like, oh yeah, I wanted them to know who you were
and take care of you. Right.
So yeah.
That's a trick I learned with my grandmother in a nursing home.
Yeah.
Make everybody happy, and they're happy with your person. So he was making sure his person was good.
He was. He was making sure I was being taken care of. But yeah, I mean, I had open wounds, right? And my neck dissection and the trach, and I couldn't really speak in the hospital at all. So I was writing on whiteboards to communicate. So I was still in a bit of a fog when I came home, but I came home on just taking Tylenol. I was off all pain medication when I left the hospital.
Okay.
But I was ready to be done with it.
Okay. So now you're in recovery mode.
For a little while, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And how did that affect your career? Did you go right back to work?
I didn't work. I didn't work again until September, October.
Okay.
And then my surgery was March because I had to. In May, I started radiation and chemotherapy. And so after surgery, it was 6 weeks after surgery when I started radiation and chemo, and so I was starting to eat a little bit. I was still fed, 100% with my feeding tube. But I remember starting to eat a little bit because I wanted to exercise my swallowing muscles so they wouldn't atrophy.
Right.
And so I tried a little bit. But then once radiation started...
Again.
Yeah, radiation hits you... I was radiation like from here through my neck. So... I started to not be able to eat and started to be on pain medication again because of that pain, And chemotherapy. So radiation was every day, and then chemotherapy was every Tuesday with extra fluids on Friday.
See, a lot of people don't realize rehabilitation takes time.
That takes a long time.
Effort. You have places to go, experts to be in your life.
Yeah, every day I was driving into the city. I live in Chesterfield, like way out Hall Street, and like half an hour to get into there. And for radiation only days, it was a 15-minute appointment, and then turn around and go back home again. And then on chemo days, I was there most of the day. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I probably live about 15 minutes from you because I live out.
You live out there too?
Yeah, that's about where I live.
Yeah.
So, but what other experts did you have to see after radiation?
So I saw the radiology. I saw my surgeon. Those are the two that I still see now. They sent me to a specialty dentist for a thorough teeth cleaning before radiation also. I saw the chemotherapy people. I don't know what they're called. And then eventually, like towards the end of radiation, I saw speech therapy for not necessarily for pronunciation, but for swallowing. They gave me exercises and swallowing studies. I saw physical therapy because from the neck dissection and removal of lymph nodes, I have lymphedema swelling on my neck, and I have very limited movement of my neck at that time. So they gave me exercises to do and self-massage and stuff too. So I think that was all of the people I was seeing.
So where was your quality of life?
I I mean, I was starting to feel like radiation and chemo ended mid-June.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was kind of, I said I was famous because I was going to Hawaii.
Oh, nice.
2 weeks after my treatment ended, my family had a huge trip to Hawaii planned. They had been rescheduled twice for COVID.
Oh,
So I had them put in a low profile feeding tube so I could wear a swimsuit.
oh. You got in the
Yeah.
good, important stuff.
I had the important stuff, and so everybody knew, oh, you're going to Hawaii, right? Yeah, I can't wait to hear about it when you get back. And yeah, so that happened. It was an amazing place to go recover, but I was exhausted. I was still napping every day.
Okay.
Yeah.
What part of Hawaii?
We stayed for a week in Kona on the Big Island, and then but that was my whole family, like my mom and my sister and my sister's family, and then my husband, my son, and I went to Maui for 4 days after that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. For intimate family.
Yeah, just the three of us. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So you had all your support system.
I did.
And you had the beautiful beaches and a son that just loved you.
Yeah.
Who can't recover in that?
Right, exactly.
Yeah. But you have such a positive attitude. Like, where does that come from? Before, after? Was there a aha moment?
I want to say I've probably always been like this.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. But I'm a life coach.
Mm-hmm.
So if I didn't believe that I could teach this to other people,
Right.
I wouldn't be doing what I was doing.
Right. That's exactly right. I was loving the fact that you said you had a life coach.
Oh, yeah.
So you didn't just
I value
learn,
coaching.
but yeah, you obviously invest into it
I
with
do.
your own.
Uh-huh.
So, okay. So how did your son take it?
My son was in ninth grade when I was diagnosed.
Okay.
He was good. He was just, he just went along with it. After the fact, he wrote a paper, did an interview of me and wrote a paper last year, maybe as a junior. And, there I heard a little bit more of what he felt.
His concerns.
Yeah, but we, at no point did I feel like I wasn't going to make it.
Okay.
There was never that feeling. Like I remember the dentist said we wouldn't be doing a teeth cleaning for you if we thought you weren't going to make it, right? So I never felt that. So I was never told that was my prognosis. I was always told, this is what we're going to do, this is our plan of attack, and then that would be it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before the show started, you mentioned you lost 50, 60 pounds with the feeding tube.
Yeah.
So this is a new you.
Yes.
How do you like this new person?
I feel like I have a lot more energy.
Okay.
It's funny. I've always been the good eater in my family. Like, I love food.
Yeah, you mentioned you were a foodie.
I am a foodie. I love food. Even when, the 9-10 months that more than that I couldn't eat, I am a Food Network junkie. I remember my stepmom and my dad being at my house to help support us, and my stepmom looking at me like, I don't know how you're watching Food Network all day when you can't eat. But I always, obviously hope that I'd be able to eat again, and I can, but it's a whole process.
Okay, so what did you miss while you were recovering?
I was really tired of smoothies. I won't.
Did you make your own?
I made my own. I would have a peanut butter milkshake almost every day because I needed fat and calories.
Right.
Because I was ready for my feeding tube to come out, and they wouldn't do that unless I could eat on my own and not lose weight.
Mm-hmm.
So, peanut
You were
butter
trying to
milkshake.
figure out how to get that. Now, okay, so that sounds really delicious.
It was
to me.
amazing. Yeah.
Was it like a Reese's peanut butter? Was there chocolate
It
in
was
there?
no chocolate. No, I didn't do chocolate. I just did vanilla and peanut butter, and a little bit of protein powder too for more protein.
Okay.
Yeah, but I miss, like even now, it sounds bizarre to say that I miss eating salad because salad. Again, it's a whole process, and I don't want to give you all too much information, but chewing and swallowing is a project because I can't, like, you don't realize how much your tongue does. Like, I can't move food around in my mouth with my tongue. Like, I have to, like, use gravity because I'm missing teeth back here because that's where my fake tongue is attached. So I have to put food between his teeth, and if it slips past those teeth, then it gets stuck in my throat.
Oh.
So then I have to, really work on getting it down.
And leaves are a lot harder to.
It is. They get like stuck. Yeah. So I miss salad. I can't like cut up a steak and eat a steak. If it's too dry, I can't eat it because my saliva production is off. So I need a lot of, it doesn't sound like a bad problem to have. I need a lot of gravy and sauce, and like biscuits and gravy is perfect. Macaroni and cheese is perfect. Yeah.
Well, you made it work.
I did make it work.
Now, do you do it yourself? You cook for yourself? Or?
I still go out to eat.
Oh, wow.
I refuse to stay home and be invisible. Just kind of who
It's
I
not your
am.
nature.
It's not my nature. I can't stay home and be quiet. I can't stay home and be, and withdraw from society. I am a people person. And I still go out to eat. Now, sometimes I am, if you ever go out to eat with me, I will hold my napkin up and I have to use my finger to move food over to my teeth. But
you're being considerate.
It is what it is.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So you've adapted. Your husband adapted.
Yeah.
Your son adapted. What about your mother and your sister?
Yeah, and my mom and my dad, like my parents and my family. Yeah, everybody was very supportive. They all live 5 hours away in Pennsylvania.
I was going to say. Yeah.
But my mom came down. They were there. Rubica was in the hospital to make sure my son got to swim practice and make sure he was at school and all of that.
That life was consistent.
For him, yeah. And she was there for a little while after I came home from the hospital, and my dad came down, was with me for a week. And then they all left again until, I would say, 2 or 3 weeks into my chemo, when I was falling asleep getting chemo. I was driving myself there for the first couple of weeks, and I was like, I'm falling asleep at chemo. I need someone to drive me, so my mom came back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So everybody is supportive.
I'm lucky.
You are. Some people don't have that.
Yeah.
But you are a very positive mindset. And you have abundance of energy. What would you say to somebody who had to go through this that didn't have all of that?
I would say the support system is something you have to create for yourself, right? If you don't have it, you have to ask for help.
Right.
But for mindset...
But wait a minute. You said, we're one of those families.
We are.
So you know how hard it is to ask for help.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great advice,
Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah. But the positive attitude part
Mm-hmm.
is, I believe it can be taught.
Oh,
I
okay.
believe you can
Through
teach. I believe you
coaching.
can teach optimism.
Okay.
I've done some research on it. I've done a lot of research on it, and it is all about changing the way you think about it. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's all about looking at an obstacle as insurmountable and negative, when really there was nothing I could do about this.
Right.
So I
There's no
had.
hindsight. Maybe if I did X, then Z wouldn't have happened.
Right, but even so, that doesn't help you.
No, it
It
doesn't.
doesn't help you in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to reframe it into like, okay, I'm going to use this voice now
Mm-hmm.
to show people that you can overcome an obstacle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't get to walk around with an invisible cancer.
Mm-hmm.
There's obviously an experience I have been through.
Right.
So I'm very open about it because I want people to know that.
So you use your experience to help others.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I use this show to help others understand that they're not the only ones in it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that if they have a positive mindset,
Mm-hmm.
they could have triumph on the other side.
Yeah.
So how do you get that positive mindset for the people you work with?
It's all about analyzing your thoughts.
Okay.
Like, when something happens, you automatically say, here it goes again. Automatically down on yourself, automatically think it's going to affect your life forever, automatically think the worst.
Mm-hmm.
And if you are one of those people, how can you stop that thought and reframe it into something where you can move on with a little bit more optimism and hope?
Okay.
Right? I believe in journaling.
Mm-hmm.
For all of the clients that I work with, I send weekly content. Always contains journal prompts. Always contains affirmations, because words are powerful, and the words that you say to yourself are even more powerful than the ones that come out of your mouth. So having that daily exercise of thinking about what you're thinking about, right, and how you frame it.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So most of the time we are our worst critics, the little
Absolutely.
one on the shoulder,
Uh-huh.
And everybody else could tell you, oh, no, this is great. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But in the back of our mind, even if we say thank you, we're not really accepting it.
Sometimes,
It's hard to accept compliments for most women.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you accept this is happening to me, but I'm going to be okay?
My hardest part was coming back. Like, and everyone's experience is different, so I don't want to speak for other people that have experienced
this is your
cancer.
story. Mm-hmm.
But for me, staying home and getting treatment and sleeping, that was the easy part.
Mm-hmm.
For me, because I speak for a living.
Mm-hmm.
I talk to people. I network extensively. I love to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I love to be in front of people and speaking. To come back now with this voice was the hardest thing.
Okay.
I was afraid people wouldn't understand me. I was afraid that people would think I was stupid. I don't know. And that's what my husband was saying to me. He goes, but your brain has not changed.
Right.
So it's just the way you're speaking.
But again, this is your story and your experience.
It was that fear of failure. It was that fear of, judgment, that we all have.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I did it anyway. But that was the hardest for me, was coming back.
Okay.
But I was determined to get my life back.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that in itself is
but
big
it was
hurdle.
a lot of, like, when I went back to my I have a regular networking group that I meet with every week, and when I went back to them, I was like cheerful, and we all hugged. That was emotional.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. I mean,
So,
everyone was so supportive. I had no validation for my fears of that, but yeah.
so you may have had doubts, but other people were like, I mean, I know when you first said it, I was like, why would they think that?
Yeah. Well, I still, if I'm being totally honest, don't know if I will listen to this podcast.
That's okay.
I have a very hard time
Listening to
listening
yourself.
to myself speak.
Yeah.
And I also can't, like I did Facebook Lives and podcasts prior to all of this too. I can't listen to those either.
Okay. Well, that's honesty.
Yeah.
Because there was a change. You still see yourself as before the change. And listening would actually...
It would confirm it.
Yeah, that it did happen.
Yeah.
So you keep your positive attitude. I always tell people, you have a rear view mirror, which is this big. And then you have your front car window, which is a lot bigger.
Yeah.
And if you focus on the front car window instead of the rear view, which means leave the past in the past and keep it moving.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
not listening is your coping skill.
It is.
And it's your way of dealing with
yeah.
the changes that have happened, because you are still you. Here, you are still you. So none of that has changed,
Right.
I'm sure. And you've had a supportive network, and I heard you speak.
You did, yeah.
So I know that you are magnetic. You have an energy that people, I mean, we were on the computer.
We were.
So you have an energy that people are just drawn to.
Thank you.
I know I wasn't the only one mesmerized. Like, oh my gosh. I had to call Keisha, like, how do I find this woman? So, and then you didn't answer me, and I was
I
like,
was on vacation.
I know. I know.
I felt terrible when you had to reach out again. I'm like, how did I miss this? Of course I will be on your podcast.
Well, I am so glad that you honored us with your presence, even if you don't listen to it. It's okay.
I might. Sometimes I'll listen to pieces of things I do. But
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's okay, because I think you're wonderful.
Thank you.
And obviously, Keisha found you to be wonderful.
Yeah. I knew her before, too. I've known her for years. Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
And I saw you also on, now see, I'm drawing a blank here, another podcast. Oh, come on. Now, this is horrible. But my... Anna, yes. Anna's podcast. And I was like,
I was on her podcast.
oh,
Yeah.
this is wonderful. So did you listen to that?
I listened to pieces of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Until you say that's enough.
Yeah.
And keep moving forward to the big window, and not the small mirror. Okay. Okay. I get that. So positive attitude has brought you where you are. There was a slight fear of failure. And there's definitely I don't want to know what has changed so much.
I mean, when you experience something like this, it definitely changes you. But and I think in my intro that you did for me, I adopt a coaching philosophy that I call life drafting, right? And when I coach people, we create a vision, we set goals, we work on habits and mindset and all of that. But I revisit often, right? Revisit where you are now, your values, all of that often. Because just because you have set a goal doesn't mean you have to have blinders on.
Right.
and focus so hard on it that you wake up one day once you have reached it and realize, wait a second, I don't want to be here anymore. Right? And then if you hold on so tightly to it and something happens, like you get cancer, or you fail at something, then it's a harder hit.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But if you go into it with a mindset of flexibility
Mm-hmm.
and curiosity and are able to shift, and I call it drafting because I liken it to writing your first draft of something. It's just sloppy copy.
Okay. I like
It's
that.
not going to be perfect, that view that you have of yourself, that draft. You know,
So
there's
you dispel
always room for edit.
perfectionism right away.
Yeah,
Get rid
there's
of it.
always room for editing.
Okay.
You know, cross off whole sections,
Mhm.
start over. You
Mhm.
know, always room for editing as you go along.
Got you. Okay.
Because if you're looking for perfection, you're never going to get it.
There's no such thing. It's an illusion
It is.
that people just keep reaching for, and it's never there.
No. And then if you keep reaching for it, then you're never happy with where you are now either.
So, how is to keep reaching for a goal and keep changing the goalposts different from reaching for perfection?
I think if you continually evaluate where you are and you know what you're looking for, setting a goal is good, right? But then, you know, knowing that that's not the end all be all. Like
So-
once you reach it, you're not done.
Right. Stagnant.
Yeah,
Stuck.
right.
Okay. So,
So it's always a reevaluation.
explain to us a little bit about life drafting.
So I always start with looking at where you are in 4 buckets of your life.
Okay.
Health,
Mm-hmm.
meaning physical, emotional, and spiritual health. I call it connection is the second bucket. Our family, friends, you know, what feeds us in that relational way.
Mm-hmm.
Contribution, which is how we are contributing to our family, our community, you know, that type of thing. You know, our career, but more than that. And then the fourth one is play. How are we
That's
finding
my
joy?
thing.
How are we finding joy in our life? What are we doing for the
Yes.
pure enjoyment, pleasure of it, right? So those 4 buckets. I don't look for balance because balance is an illusion also.
It is.
We all have our seasons where one is going to be fuller than another one, but those 4 buckets is where I start.
Okay.
And then I also I rely a lot on goal setting from a different standpoint. I look at it as, and I got this from James Clear's book, Atomic Habits, where
Okay.
you set a goal, but there's 3 layers to goals.
Mm-hmm.
I think of it like an onion, where those outcome goals are that thin outside, you know, skin, where, you know, you hold it up, you can see through it, it's brittle. You know,
It just falls
that
off.
is your outcome goal. That is I'm going to run a marathon. That is I'm going to make $1 million. That is your outcome goal. But without the layers and the support underneath it,
It's not happening.
it's not happening. That's why New Year's resolutions fail, right? So I start with that center and that core, which is your identity, your values. So I have a values exercise I work through with people where we identify who we need to be to reach those outcome goals.
Okay.
Like, you know, do I need to embrace diligence? Do I need to embrace compassion? Do I need to embrace my creativity? Like looking at those core values. And I have a whole bunch of exercises I do with it, you know, but that we identify what those are for you. And then the next layers are habits. I
The
teach
things
out.
that are hard to break.
I teach out on habits. I love human behavior and I love habit formation and why we do what we do and helping to break bad habits but set new routines and habits. So what we do daily, you know, those habits and that work is what's going to get you to the outcome goal. So the outcome goal is just the result of all those other things you put in place.
Okay.
And going through that exercise, I do that exercise personally every year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it is not a once and done.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm actually writing a book right now, a journal workbook
Mm-hmm.
to take teenagers and young adults through that process. But I also work with teenagers.
Teenagers are my favorite humans.
Me too.
So
yeah.
you have to let me know when it gets to that point.
Okay.
Because I have a lot of teenage clients.
Yay.
So
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And when you said play is my, I do play therapy.
Fun.
So I love play. And I think play keeps you young.
Yeah.
And right now, I think my teenage clients are keeping me young and optimistic.
I did a workshop last night with a group of 8 teenagers, and their play was their fullest one. When I work with adults, even myself, I'm like, I read, I read books. It brings me enjoyment, and it's hard. Yeah.
I was just happy he said he plays with Legos, building Legos, and that's how wonderful things are.
Yeah.
So you should never stop playing.
No.
Playing might change, but you should never stop.
Yeah. Doing things for enjoyment.
Yes. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I use words like resilient to describe you. What words would you use?
I also use resilient.
Okay.
Optimistic.
I see that too.
Yeah, I'm always a person that when someone is complaining to me, I call them out on it, and I challenge it. You know,
but you don't think people have the right to vent?
People have a right to vent, but then they have to do something about it.
Fix it. Okay. Okay, you tell me all of this, but don't keep doing it.
Yeah, and if you can't fix it, then you need to figure out a way to move on. Because that negativity and that harboring, that destroys you.
So, you said life drafting continues and continues, and you have to keep revisiting.
Yeah.
I say that, like butterflies, we continue to go through the chrysalis.
Yeah.
And we're always evolving and changing. But we have to give ourselves grace to understand that it's not always going to be the way we want it to be.
No, it is not.
Did you give yourself grace?
Most of the time, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I still have moments like I get annoyed with my husband when he doesn't understand something I'm saying. He's the only one that I get mad at for not understanding me.
Because he should know you so well.
No.
The whole mind reading thing. Huh? So,
but yeah, I mean, of course, I wish I didn't have the voice that I have. Yes, but I give myself grace. Yeah.
That's exactly what I need to hear. All right. It's been wonderful having you.
Thank you so
much.
much.
I'm so glad you took some time to just come and hang out with us for a little bit.
Yeah.
Let us know when you get the book.
Yeah, I will.
Because I have plenty of teens that could probably use it.
Yay.
If not use it, tell us about your workshop. How often do you have it?
I also have a nonprofit.
Okay.
That brings life, career, and college planning coaching to from disadvantaged situations. So the workshop I did last night was with Project Life. Who supports
Project Life?
Life is through United Methodist Family Services. So the kids in foster care. Okay. So that was the workshop I did last night.
Oh,
and I do them whenever she lets me come in and do it.
That's your contributing, giving back.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh, Project Life.
Yeah.
That has so many different meanings to it.
Yeah, she, that nonprofit, I do underneath United Methodist Family Services, Project Life, yeah.
Okay. All right. Anything you would like to say before we go?
No, I think I talk a lot.
You talk enough. How about that? You do just right. A happy go there. So we want to thank you. for being here. I'm so glad you came. But, all right, thank you for listening today.